What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we have to talk about the Scream 6 trailer. I'm going to try to break down as much of it as humanly possible, so know that as we go through this, we're probably going to see some spoilers here and there, right? So let me first just talk about the trailer in general, my thoughts, and we'll kind of go into a deep dive of the scenes. I loved it. I thought it was awesome, truly. And now, of course, a little bit of biasness there, but I really felt not only did it look, but it felt different than anything we've seen before. It looked darker, it looked grittier, it looked a little kind of a different kind of horror. I think to the scene when Sam is like slightly turning her head, kind of like Ghostface does, when she's kind of all sweaty, like towards, you would imagine, the end of the movie. That is an incredible shot. That is an incredible performance, at least in that one scene by Melissa Barrera. It is incredible. So I think of that scene. I think it's some of the weird looking, in a good way, Ghostface shots that are throughout this movie. It looks darker in a different kind of way. So I absolutely loved it. And they really did keep spoilers, I think, to a minimum. Now, we did get some things. There are, if you pause and you look. And I would say this because, of course, there's a group that says, well, you're doing it to yourself. Yes, you have to pause because actually the most spoiler-like things in this entire trailer all happens at the end, the last 20, 30 seconds. And they use, I think, a really cool little strategy of doing the flashes, right? So it's black, it kind of fades in, it flashes a couple times, it goes away. And I think by doing that, you really do hide it, at least if you're just watching it straight through. You could factually miss some things. However, if you were to pause when they are showing the footage, there is stuff there to analyze. So, again, back and forth of, well, yes, you are pausing it, you're looking at it, but you don't have to dissect it all that much once you pause it. You just, if you want to avoid spoilers, you just watch it through full speed, normal speed, and don't pay attention to, kind of the flickering things that are happening, because that's the biggest thing. Okay, so the first thing that I like is this trailer is split up in a couple different parts. The first part, really, 47 seconds of the trailer, the first 47 seconds is either logos and the city, or it is one scene. Split up for sure, but it's one scene. I actually said that this is exactly what you should do with this movie's trailer. In Scream 5, we had Tara's phone call. That took up a huge chunk of the trailer to not then spoil other things. This trailer did it once with Tara and Sam in the bodega, and then it also did it with Gail towards the end. And then everything else is the flashes and the quick time events that are happening. So again, I really, from just an overview perspective, really like that. And so the beginning of this trailer is what we've seen pretty much before. We've seen this in the teaser trailer. We saw this in kind of the leaked pictures that came out of this movie before. You see Ghostface using a shotgun. Now we know how he gets the shotgun, which, by the way, I really like. It's pretty practical, I would say, and maybe that has to do with the killer that we can discuss, in future videos. But, starting out with a knife, I don't know if Ghostface planned at all to use a gun. Went in, chased Sam and Tara. Sam and Tara, are panting and they're screaming. The Ghostface is kind of right behind them. Ghostface walks in, murders a very, tough guy, which, by the way, you can look at the size there, but it's best not to, considering with these movies, stunt doubles tend to be pretty tall. It seems like they can't find any short ones. So you had that, and then you had the clerk. He had the gun, and the Ghostface took it from him. So I really do like that, and that's pretty much it. We don't know how they're going to get out of that situation. Obviously, they will, and I think you can kind of tell just from this is not the ending of the movie. I just feel that kind of inkling, inside me that's true. So you got that, and again, I like it. 47 seconds doesn't spoil much. Then you have Sam talking about how she's kind of fighting this darkness, within her. And I really, now they lead with this, right? This is the first time you hear Sam, I guess, you kind of monologuing. And as the trailer goes on, you really see Tara is seemingly a pretty important part of this movie. We'll get there. It seems like for every time Sam is there, Tara is there, except for potentially one time towards the very end of the trailer. But Sam is the lead. And I think focusing kind of on her darkness, and then the next scene is her in the street, holding the aged Ghostface mask. Now, honestly, because of them putting these two scenes back to back, there's no way of fully knowing this, but the Ghostface mask that she picked up, I would imagine that's Billy's. I'd imagine, and there's hints in a sense that it's aged. So you could imagine aged, it's probably Roman's backwards, right? Roman, Mickey, you know, her grandmother, right? So I feel like it's that. I don't know if like Charlie or Jill's mask or Richie and Amber's would look that aged, right? And just because she's talking about, I know these two scenes are not back to back, right, in the movie, but the way they frame it in the trailer leads me to believe she's talking about the darkness within her, so she is talking about that Billy side, and then it shows her holding the mask. I think maybe that was supposed to be picked up by her. Maybe the killer's doing it on purpose. And that's why the mask is Billy's, right? To kind of like send that hint. So then we have Ghostface at the door. It's a phenomenal looking scene. I can't place it. It doesn't look like Gail's apartment. You see Liana Liberato right after kind of spring up from bed. And I believe this is the only time you see her. You see, when this whole thing was happening, Liana is pretty high on my list of potential suspects. She really is. And as we'll go through this, she's not in it. You see Devin a few times. You see Dermot Maloney a few times in this. Actually, one of them is a pretty clever scene we'll talk about. But you don't really see Liana. So I don't know if that's her death. I don't even know if they are supposed to be like, you know, Ghostface is at the door and that's Liana's house. I mean, it's possible, but you'll see, and we see like Tara and all them, they're in different locations. So I can't necessarily place it, but this is the only time that you see her. Okay, now, actually something I just think I put together on the fly. The next kind of scene, you see Devin and her character, you see Mindy, and you see Sam, all right? Now, what I think is interesting about this scene, so Mindy says, like, run. I think that's her line that she says there. I was gonna say I can't place this. However, literally just 2 seconds before I recorded this part of the video, I looked behind them at that window. Now, at the end of the trailer, we're skipping ahead, but at the end of the trailer, you see Mindy crawling across a ladder that bridges two different apartment complexes that are separate, right? And she's crawling, and you see Devin in the window behind her, like she's next up. You also see Ghostface, two different scenes of Ghostface, and I don't think they're the same ones. But one scene of Ghostface, behind him, there's so much blood. There was clearly an attack. And then he stabs, I think he stabs like the windowsill. I don't think he's stabbing Devin. I get the sense that she also does escape, and she also does make it across. Or maybe she dies. Maybe she dies, and Ghostface is just doing like, I give up. I won't go after Mindy. Okay? So I do think that's probably how that scene's going to play out. I do think, based off the fact that those two are there, there's also Sam, but I think because of the ladder thing, that's what's going to happen. So they see Ghostface, maybe he's at the door, and there's only one way out. They're like, whatever, 5 stories high. They got to crawl across to go to the next apartment, building across the way. We'll get there as the trailer goes on, but this one scene, that's what I think it's going to lead to. Then you see Kirby talking about how they all have, this special kind of bond, that they're all survivors, right? I do think they're in some sort of police or FBI, right, like precinct there. It definitely, you see kind of people with just officer-like equipment walking behind her. Good to see everybody together. Not too much I can read from that one. Then you have graffiti on the wall that says, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And it's Ghostface. Love it. Definitely continues to build the idea of a cult. I don't know how much time one individual would have to kind of do these things. It does seem like it's part of something kind of larger. So next up is a couple interesting scenes. Firstly, we have the picture of Gail that we had yesterday, right in that kind of elevator. We have her opening it. And if you look at the picture, you actually now see 4 of them. So I was right. Kirby was to her left, or I guess our left looking at her. Sam was to the right, but Tara is there also. So firstly, it shows them getting out. Now, actually, I think even behind them is Josh Segura's character. So there's more of them in this elevator than it originally seemed. But you see the door open, and then you see all of them coming out. So who do we have? We have Tara, we have Kirby, we have Mindy, Chad, we have Sam, we have Gail in the background, and then you have Dermot's character, and I think behind is also Jack Champion's character, as well as Josh Segura. I think they're all there for that scene. But what's interesting is you're going to see it kind of changes. Now, one of the things we see with the shrine, not just is all of the ghost faces wrapped around, right? That looks awesome. The masks are missing, as we kind of, we were kind of told that. But you see all of that. And then you also see kind of dedication things to each one. So you see things for like Stu. In fact, you see the shirt, you see the TV, you see Billy's shirt, right? So you see a lot of different things in this entire scene. And then you see Sam with a knife. And I wonder if that's the knife that she used to kill Richie. I'm not sold on that 100%, but the way she looks at it, and then she looks at the ghost face, she just kind of looks up. makes me kind of think that that's the case, or maybe it's the knife Billy used, right? I feel like it has something to do with her. Now, what's interesting is then we have Tara talking about basically like setting a trap and like, catching them. And what you see here is, again, you see the wraparound. You see Mindy, Chad, Jack Champion's character, Josh Segura's character, and Sam. But I actually originally thought this was the same location as the shrine because it's so quick. This is a very quick scene where you see all, I guess, 6 of them together. And I was even thinking, well, where is Gale and Dermot Mulroney's character? Where are those two? Because or even Kirby, those 3 were in the shrine. Well, if you look behind them, they look like they're in a police precinct, right? Like some sort of garage. They're not at the shrine. So it really is the same group, it seems. In fact, actually, if you look behind Jack Champion, it looks like he's got red on him, like blood. So this is a different scene. But I guess what's important is that these are the characters that also appeared in the shrine. So I don't know where Kirby I don't know the rest of them. They're missing. I think they'll be okay, at least for this scene. But these 6 seemingly are the most important. Now, again, like, where's Liana? Where's Samara Weaving, right? Is she even important to this? I think Samara is important because of the poster. Because what's interesting is if you look at the poster, size matters. So you see Sam and Tara, and they are the biggest one. Now Sam is, like, slightly elevated higher, but I mean, that's maybe literally just her height compared to Tara. Then you see, like, the next step down is Kirby and Gale. And then you see another step down, and I would argue Samara Weaving is bigger or more prominent, and probably purposely, than Mindy and Chad. They're the next step down. In fact, some of these characters, some of them, like Henry Dermot's character, isn't even on here. So again, kind of important to look at, the entire poster when we're deciding how important I suppose these characters are. Then we see an extended Gale scene. So this is where we get some pretty cool Ghostface lines talking about like this is kind of a newer one, right? He's different than the rest of them. And the very first time the phone rings, you see the picture of Gale and Dewey. Now that's the same one he had. I don't know if she took that or if there's literally 2 copies of it, right? She had one, he had the other. But in my as far as I could see, that's the only thing that references Dewey, at least in those frames, okay? So she's talking, and there's somebody behind her that gets it. There's somebody behind her that's walking towards her and dies. I don't know who it is. I can't place it. They get thrown through, like, the bookcase, and you see part of them, but you don't see enough of them, at least right now. I mean, maybe you guys have spotted it. You don't see enough of them to actually figure out who it is, okay? And then you have Ghostface attacking, and you have Gale kind of retreating into a room, shooting multiple times, and some of the final shots, and this is when it starts to get very flashy. And they do this, I believe, on purpose, right? As Ghostface is chasing Gale, the scene breaks several times. It gets very, very dark. And towards the very end, Gale goes to shoot. She gets deflected. She gets knocked off, and Ghostface has the knife clear angle. Everything's good for Ghostface to stab Gale. So I don't think this is her death. I don't even think she'll die in the movie. But in the final scene that you see of Gale versus Ghostface, and yet again, you saw that in like Scream 4, and like Dewey comes, shoots, and kind of scares Ghostface off. But for like this, I don't know, like the bullet, the gun and bullets deflected. And then all you got is the full body of Gale, and then Ghostface with a knife, actually, like, in this angle, ready to kind of strike, I guess it would be this way, strike across and come at Gale. So I don't know how she's going to get out of that, and I just hope she does. And then we start to get the flashes. So we see a Ghostface projector, and this projector has got to be the ending of the movie, and we'll talk about that in relation to Sam because of what we're about to see. But you see that first. Then you see a very interesting picture, or frame, I suppose, of Sam and Tara, the 2 final girls. And this is why I mentioned, like, Tara really seems as important as Sam is for at least most of it. I don't know where she's going to be. Well, actually, I can kind of assume for the final, showdown. Maybe it's just Sam versus a Ghostface because, what we'll talk about. But what's interesting, I suppose, about this, Tara looks terrified. Really, really scared. But what's important to know is obviously Sam is behind her, and there does seem to be a moving Ghostface. Now, yes, there could be projectors going on, so maybe I'm getting the Ghostface confused for the projector. But I guess how I read this is Sam and Tara, and because they're looking in 2 different directions, and because Sam has her own Ghostface that she's looking at, or there's just a Ghostface kind of in front of her, Tara is terrified, looking the other way. there's got to be another one. Maybe there's even more. Maybe they're literally, kind of doing a back-to-back situation, like an action movie or back-to-back, and they're surrounded. Now, how surrounded can you get? I think 2 is kind of the max, maybe 1 for each of them. But it does seem like right there in that scene, there are 2 masked ghost faces that are, surrounding them. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is the trailer that I downloaded from Paramount seems like they removed a scene. And I'm not going to give them it because I'm going to talk about it because they didn't remove the scene in the official trailer that came out live. Everybody saw it. It got millions of views. There's clearly a scene of Mindy walking into the bathroom, that bloody bathroom that we've seen, and you see Tony Revolori's character submerged, dead, very, very dead. And clearly that's a spoiler. They showed it. I warned you, that we'd get to some spoilers. So there's that. I mean, I don't really know how much more to say, but I guess I'll leave it. We won't speculate too much because what's interesting is I think they cut that scene out of the other trailers, or maybe they re-uploaded or, whatever they did. But that scene seems to be missing now, but it's clearly in it. So you do know at least one character death, and you know that Mindy is the one that finds him. But then you see Mindy, again, doing the climbing across scene. So this has to be, in my opinion, the scene I was talking about earlier. I just feel like it is. And then you see Sam with the gun. Man, she looks tired. She looks like she's been through it. And she does a really creepy smile and head turn that's very Ghostface-like. Like, look, I don't think she's the killer. I don't think she'll be a killer in this. I think she's kind of just going to almost embrace the dark side in this scene or towards the ending, kind of like how she did with Richie. But like it, again, as I said in the beginning of the video, it is incredibly shot. It's incredibly well done. I really, really love it. And by the way, she's talking about her, like, you're after me. And I guess what's interesting is, yes, the shot is framed in a certain way where we can't see anybody besides Sam, but I wonder if Tara is there, and we'll talk about Tara in just a second. Because next up, we have Tara and Sam seemingly running through alleyways. I don't think it's a building, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's the theater. It's dark. I'm dark in here. But you do see Ghostface chasing them, so you do get another, and that's important, right? Another chase scene. It does seem like there's going to be a few chase scenes at the minimum in this movie. But then what's interesting is we see them seemingly high up. You see Ghostface kind of drag the knife over the railing, and you see 2 bloody sets of arms, let's say, because there's 4 arms in all. You see bloody arms holding each other. Now, the next scene is Tara being held up seemingly by Sam, and she looks kind of like determined, almost like a let me go kind of situation. Like Ghostface is coming behind Sam. Tara says, hey, you got to let me go, or we're both going to die. You're going to get stabbed. I'm going to get dropped, and we're both going to... So I don't know if they're related. It's possible those bloody arms aren't theirs. It could be something like with Mindy. It's possible because as Mindy's going across the ladder, she has blood on her left arm. There's blood there, so she was attacked. So it's possible, but at the same time, I feel like it probably is Tara and Sam. That's just my opinion. And then we get a couple Ghostface calls, right? We see Tony Revolori get a call, which probably is that bloody bathroom thing. We get Samara Weaving getting a call, and then we get Dermot Mulroney getting a call. Now, what's fascinating about this one is if you pause and you just look at him, he's got blood on him. This is not, and in fact, when I first saw this, I was thinking, do they get called when they're in the shrine? Because he is in the shrine, but do they get called in the shrine when they're all down there, right? Kirby, Gale, everybody. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like they're going to go back to it later on. So he does make it quite a while. I'd imagine this is closer to the end than, say, the beginning of the movie. You also see Chad getting attacked, it seems like, in the theater. Can't really make out too much of what's happening, but it does seem like he is getting attacked. And then you also see Sam falling from, like, the balcony of the same theater. So I feel like a lot of it's going to take place in that theater. That could be the final showdown. And then they make their way. I'd actually imagine this. It takes place in the theater. Whoever's left goes back down to the shrine, and then the finale's in the shrine because of the projector and all the stuff that's going on. That's where it's all going to end. So they'll go back to there, and they'll do it kind of in the middle of the movie maybe, and then at the very end. And then you see the ending, which is the train, which is a lot of the exact same scenes. I think maybe there's one new scene with Mindy, just kind of like a better frame of her. Same exact kind of stuff as the teaser trailer. So there you go. There's kind of the breakdown. I'm sure I'll have some theories as the days go on. Let me know what you think. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on the next one.